Here is our top tier list of must-have Slayer items in 2024. Let's dive in. And hey, I'm Guilty. Welcome to Guilty Gaming. We are on a Slayer Locked Ironman journey, and for all of y'all that subscribed and got us to 250, here we are for our next controversial tier list. So let's dive in, and before you break your computers, just remember we're here for a good time. Here's our ranking factors. First, ease to obtain. How easily can you get this / afford it? What's its relative power level? And is it a fun item? Alrighty, welcome to our Slayer items tier list. So, you'll be seeing a lot of this screen as we go throughout this video, but I do promise to be cutting away to showing you in-game examples, going to the wiki, showing even items that I own. And so first, we are just going to address the elephant in the room, and that is wherever I put the T-bow right here, is that we're going to throw this right here on our list. We'll explain why in a second. I did want to say, too, that as you can see here, from left to right, I tried to place the items in an order that I think would make sense for you to be obtaining them on your journey as a main or as an Ironman. Addressing the elephant in the room, I don't think it's thumbnail clickbait, is I wanted to put the T-bow here, or the twisted bow, or just honestly to categorize this as best in slot gear. Best in slot gear is obviously best in slot for a reason. It's going to be giving you the highest attack bonuses, the best bonuses. It's going to allow you to kill monsters the quickest. It's also going to be absurdly expensive. And so, yeah, everyone makes memes and whatnot, says, hey, just go grab your T-bow and just go kill Dagonoth. It'll be that easy. And it's just like, okay, yes, makes sense. But one thing that people don't always talk about or isn't always explained well is that when it comes to best in slot gear, it's going to cost an absolute fortune. For some people, you're never going to obtain this level of wealth. And so for people to think that they can't start Slayer without getting a T-bow, or, you know, as their guildmates might tell them, like, hey, yeah, just go get a scythe from raids, it'll be fine, and then you can go and start really efficiently doing Slayer. Yes, you'll be at the very best of your game, but for the amount of time, the amount of money, if you're an Ironman, like literally years that you could spend sinking into chasing these items, it's just typically not worth it. Maybe the argument can be made, and again, like, this is why I love doing these videos. I want it to be a debate, you know, say the things in the comments, say that I'm wrong. Maybe, again, it should go up here and like crap and not be absolute F. But in my opinion, you can obtain Slayer, you can get 99 Slayer, you can enjoy Slayer without having the very best in slot gear. Alrighty, so our first item here on our list is going to be the Enchanted Gem. I'm actually super excited to talk about this because I really would consider this the beginning of the list. And yeah, everybody has had an Enchanted Gem at some point. It's one of those things that is literally given to you for free as you start your Slayer journey. It is an item that is rather useful if you're, again, maybe thinking back to when you used to once play this game back as a kid, and that it allows you to keep track of how many monsters you have left to kill. It's a way for you to at least communicate back to the Slayer Master that's assigned it to you. It's only worth a single coin, so quite literally, it's like the cheapest item on this list by default. It also can be turned into Slayer rings at 75 crafting. And you do need to unlock Ring Bling, which I think is 300 Slayer points for you to be able to craft your own. So it's a very useful item. It's even used in the forging of a Slayer helmet at 55 crafting. So it just makes sense to really begin our list. However, when you really start to think about this as an item, even though it is the beginning of your Slayer journey, I would say it actually is going to fall on the lower end of our list. And here's why. The Enchanted Gem, when you rub it, it allows you to see how many monsters that you have killed or how many more you need to kill for your task. It is something that is meant to be used as like a way of communication. Honestly, if it wasn't for the fact that it was used so much more to later on in the game to unlock Slayer rings, to unlock your Slayer helmet, I would go as far as saying it's nearly useless of an item. So with that in mind, I don't know. I would say that, like, truthfully, it could even just be worse than the T-bow here example. But since it leads to other things, we're actually going to go and put it up in the craft here. You really do not need this item anymore. But Next, let's talk about our monk robes. So, monk robes are one of those things that I would actually say is very slept on of an item. Many items on this list you can go and buy off the GE that would be included with the monk robes. But I also would say that I'm always going to at least factor in for our Iron Man friends because I am one myself on my Slayer Locked journey. Small plug there. That yeah, it's these are actually really rather easy to obtain. You just need to go over to the Edgeville Monastery, which is north of Falador, and you're going to be able to go and basically pick these up for free. All you need is 31 prayer to be able to access this area. In fact, you can even make some okay money as a noob just picking these up and selling them on the GE. Hourly profit can be like somewhere around like 200k, I think, literally only requiring that. So, what makes the monk robes so good is their prayer bonus. They have no defensive bonuses whatsoever, so it's basically as if you're just running around in your default tutorial gear. But with the prayer bonus of like for the top, for example, of +6, it is actually an insanely useful early game item if you have unlocked your prayer overheads. Protect from melee, protect from magic, protect from, as I always say, fletching. That's what I think of the bloody logo. Is that I would say better than most because although it is super easy to obtain, it is a very cheap item generally speaking, or cheap set. If you don't have overheads, it's not really needed. If you're not relying on overheads, like if you're safe spotting, you don't really need them. And again, it does quickly can get outclassed compared to just other gear like attack bonus gear. So it's one of those things that I personally love it, especially as an Iron Man in the wilderness right now. Last plug, I swear, probably not. Moving on to our next item is the Ring of Recoil. This item has got such great memories for me. I don't know if that's something y'all would agree with, but I remember just getting hit splats and PKing as a kid and wondering why like little 1s and 2s and 3s were appearing. For one, any item that gives you any form of extra damage or that can give you extra bonuses or just chance to hit is just instantly going to speed up your tasks. It's going to help you be more efficient. It's going to help you just get the edge in whatever way you need it. With a Ring of Recoil, it is going to do 1 damage plus 10% of what you have received as a player. So all in all, very entryway. It's literally, I would say, right here with monk robes. But I would say just, not as useful as probably protection prayers are going to be generally speaking across all your tasks. What makes the Ring of Wealth such a great item and its real opportunity comes in its ability of teleports. It offers a few teleports if you have them all unlocked. Grand Exchange is the most common one, Falador Park as well, but then you can also get to Miscellanea and then down to the Keldagrim Southwest Mine if you have those unlocked. So because of its teleports, because it does help eliminate the nothing drop on the drop table, I would actually say this is a very great item. But I would actually probably put it behind the Ring of Recoil for the fact that the recoil is very unique. There's really only like one other item like it. And you will get access to more teleports. And who cares if you're, the rare drop table is great to help eliminate the nothing drop. But it's one of those things, I'd say it's more of a niche item, especially once you have access to teleports later on in the game. Next, let's talk about the Dragon Dagger. So this is perhaps one of the easiest special weapons that you get access to. And using this as your main hand weapon, unless you're, again, an Iron Man in some interesting situations. But having a special attack, which is known as Puncture, it deals 2 hits at once with an extra 15% accuracy and damage for each hit. And it only consumes 25% of your special attack. And really, if you're sleeping on bringing a special attack weapon with you, so I would say is that all in all, great item. Definitely would actually put it, I would even put this ahead of Monk's Robes for the fact that, hey, you need a special attack weapon. You should pretty much just always bring one with you. Amulet of Glory. This item's iconic. It's an item that I would say you literally hear people, put in raps if you're talking about our good friend Jimmy, the least. And of course, having teleports is always great, but literally just take a second to say that this is actually, again, value right now at about, I think, like 12, 13K from the GE. So very affordable. Everyone should be using one as soon as you can. There's no requirement to wear one. The stat bonuses, decent to say the least, and we'll be throwing that up on screen. But having a prayer bonus in the next slot, outside of the monk robes, is the first time we're even talking about this. Again, as an Ironman, if you're creating this again, it is going to be requiring level 68 magic. I would just say this is a perfect beginner's amulet that can be worn into the mid game on very much tasks. It's just very well rounded, very great of an item. There's a reason why everyone raves about it. And outside of the fact that obviously it's not giving you any special attack, I would say I would probably put it right behind the dagger. I would just say this is a although I guess this doesn't really require attack or anything to wear. You know, yeah, let's put it ahead. Okay, so if we just got done talking about one offensive amulet, now we have to talk about the next, which is the Salve amulet. Definitely a sweet spot in my heart because of this video. If you guys haven't seen it, or well, these videos I should say, go ahead and check them on out. But this is an amazing item that gives you an increased 15 up to 16.67% increased attack and strength when fighting undead monsters. It's of course only effective against those undead spooky looking monsters. So I don't know, I'm torn on where to put it. It's gonna get outclassed by a later item on this list across pretty much every task. So I guess for that reason, like only in very niche situations would you be using this. Oh man, I see. I would love to put it up here, but I think generally speaking, the Salve amulet, it's actually gonna have to go a little bit lower because yeah, Locked behind a quest. That's maybe not the easiest to do, but certainly as you get higher in your stats, it's maybe a little bit more of a breeze than it was for me. I think I would, generally speaking, rather have monk robes across most content than this, especially once we talk about the items later on in the list. I think there's fair. Okay, so next up on our list is the Draymond Staff. A fan favorite for sure, and really I do mean fairy rings. This gives us the ability to teleport all around the map. All we really need is Fairy Tale Part 2 done. It does this to be an S plus item. Our Slayer Staff. I'm going to again classify this actually as the Slayer Staff E. So I think it means there should be like a little ball up there or whatever. To be a Slayer Staff E, it does need 75 magic and 55 Slayer to wield class Magic Dart or Slayer Dart, which casting that spell does increased damage while on a Slayer task. Very useful, great maximum hit. At 75 magic, it's coming out to be 25, which is also very affordable for the runes itself to cast. And just buying the staff, which is simply as cheap as literally like 22k, 23k. Even though it might not be a tradable item, you could go and just buy it from a shop and then go and buy the Slayer enchantment words. And so, although teleporting around the map might not be that level of useful, it is certainly a great way to go about mid-game magic training, magic Slayer training. So, but let's put it behind the overall usefulness of a glory. With the leaf-bladed battle axe, is the second strongest battle axe in the game, perhaps the third, if not mistaken, the dragon battle axe and the zombie axe. But it is very useful, absurdly affordable again at only 60k. Great, amazing stats, which we'll throw up on screen. And although it is, as an Ironman, very hard to obtain, or at least rare with a 1 in 1000 drop, but I would say that it would have to go behind the Slayer Staff, just due to the fact that the Slayer Staff is a little bit more versatile, perhaps. Next is our cannon, the Dwarf Multi-Cannon, to be official. The Dwarf Multi-Cannon is very easy to obtain early on, but beyond that, it is something that costs you literally less than $1 and just like our Ring of Recoil, this just gives you instant damage. It is one of those things that, especially in multi-zones, its ability to hit multi-targets, it is something you will be using until very end game. I'm not saying it is the best of the best in the S tier. There's even a chance that it maybe will, by the end of this video, fall down until all accounts need this. But it really is worth saying that if you're training Slayer, if you're not training Slayer, if you just want to be as quick and as efficient as possible, it is worth having. The only knock against it is it can get absurdly expensive. Which then takes us to the next item on our list, Slayer rings. Slayer rings don't really give you any extra stats. It's not, so I guess in some ways you could say not even the most useful ring on this list. However, due to the fact that that has easy teleports and that it can take you from anywhere from the Stronghold Slayer Cave to the Slayer Tower, the Friendly Slayer Dungeon, Tard's Lair, Dark Beasts, I wouldn't really recommend burning your Slayer points on purchasing these, but rather you should go and make the ability to make them yourself. Certainly worth it. Is not on the level at all of being with a Draymond staff, just because that's easier to get around the map, useful even beyond Slayer. But I would say out of all rings, unless you're doing a recoil for specific reasons, I would say it is certainly the best of the rings. Recoil deserves to be here, but this guy, let's move him down. Let's say the Bracelet of Slaughter. Again, very much a niche item. It's one of those things that honestly should have been earlier on in this list because of how easy it is to obtain. And basically, it extends your tasks. It gives you a 25% chance for a Slayer kill to not count towards your task kill. So if you're trying to farm out a specific item, again, cough cough, this guy over here, for example, and you're an Ironman, very useful of an item. If you're, not an Ironman, you're a main, and you're just trying to maybe make money as efficiently as possible, or just, again, trying to be as efficient as possible if you're experienced, then, yeah, okay, I could see it being higher. I'm still going to put it in the crap tier. I'll put it at the top of crap tier to make y'all happy. Yeah, that's why I love that. Like, let's hear the discussion. Let's hear the comments. Let's hear your thoughts. I am trying to move quicker than the last time we did this because I don't want this to feel like a long video, but I already know it's going to be. And, dude, let's talk about it. Maybe elephant in the room here. Proselyte armor. Proselyte armor. These three here are all so closely together, in my opinion. So this order might be shifting around throughout the video, as some of this has already been shifting. In fact, I can't believe that. Just yes, I love you, but Dragon Dagger, you gotta go there. So Proselyte, let's talk about Proselyte. Proselyte is adamant equivalent of defensive bonuses. So if you're someone who came from free to play like me, if you're just been playing for a long time, adamant isn't exactly that good of armor. Third highest of all prayer bonus armor, and it's extremely easy to obtain, only being locked behind Slug Menace it is behind them, is that if you're not going somewhere for prayer bonus or you have access to an altar rather closely, then you don't really need this. But again, if you're doing Wilderness Slayer, it's just a no-brainer to be wearing this, and very common for this or monk robes. It's also the reason why it deserves to be all the way ahead of all of this. It's just, generally speaking, your Outlast's ability that it gives you, again, for such an affordable price. At some point in your journey, everyone should be having this. I cannot wait to be going to get mine soon. Next, let's say, is our Black Mask. The Black Mask in OSRS is certainly iconic, to say the least. I don't know, it maybe isn't going to be as high on this list as you think, and there's a few reasons why. So yes, this is a tradable item. It's easy to get, with still being less than $1 mil. It's always been fluctuating right around there for as long as I can remember. If you're an Ironman, to obtain one as well, 58 Slayer is not too bad. It shines that it's just like our Salve Amulet, that it gives 16.67 attack and strength bonus against monsters. Meanwhile, the Black Mask works for every single task. So for that reason alone, it already has to be above it. I would say certainly above like Monk Robes and Leaf Bladed Axe as well. Oh man, maybe it even does belong up here. No, we're going to put it behind the Glory. Still, again, the bonus that you get over the Slayer staff, it's just very useful. Man, if we are not there, if we weren't there already, we're there now. This is the point where our list is really starting to heat up. To some, you would say this is the first or second item on the list. To others, maybe a little bit later. I figured it felt well here because I'm actually counting this as maybe already cloak 2, 3, or even 4 of the best cloaks in the game. It is loved for many reasons. First and foremost, offering an amazing teleport. Second, that it costs you absolutely nothing if you get PK'd or you just die in general. It's so you can easily obtain it for free once you've already had it. It is not tradable, but that is okay because it also offers stab defensive bonuses as well, and it gives you that +6 prayer bonus if you have the Artie Cloak 4. And if you are willing to invest the time to get the Artie Cloak 4, which is from the Elite Diary, certainly worth having. I would say again, with like above the Salve Amulet, that is very useful. It's something that you can truthfully wear this anywhere if you're not looking for, maybe range or magical bonuses. Definitely, yeah. I would even say like on pace with monk robes that it's just easy to obtain, very useful. It has a teleport with it. Just the fact that diaries can be a bit of a nuisance, especially if you want to upgrade it all the way, is the only reason this is not higher on the list. Ava's Accumulator. It is arguably one of the most valuable range bonus cape slot items that you can have. I believe it's 4th best currently in game when it comes to the range attack bonus for the cape slot, but it also gives you the ability to collect your arrows off the ground for you, or most of your ammunition for you. For that alone, I'm already thinking it can go up here just for the ease, for the convenience of it. It can be upgraded again. It can also even be put on the quiver that you can get from the new Coliseum content. So it is a very early game item that you can get from Animal Magnetism that is easy to obtain, that offers great stats for range, and outside of it, again, not having a prayer bonus, and even the fact that it can collect your items for you, just very useful, certainly belonging of its place on the list. Is for sure probably the most beloved Slayer item. It's a reason why it was what I wanted to use for the thumbnail of this video. Ironically, more or less the same stats as a Black Mask, and it is worth noting that as well for the Slave, it doesn't stack with the Slave or Salve Amulet. So if you're thinking, oh, I'll wear both of these and get, 32%? A few niche situations where people would make the argument that the Salve Amulet is better because you can then put a different helmet on in your helmet slot and just wear this instead. But across the board, there's a reason why this item is so iconic, certainly belonging on this list. But really, getting 55 crafting is relatively easy. Getting all the components is easy. You now don't need to worry about going and grabbing any of those. Oh, the reinforced goggles. You don't have to worry about going and grabbing any of those if you happen to get on any of those niche tasks. So even just, again, convenience factor there, I would say it goes above Ava's. No, it has to go. This is with you everywhere. It's one of those things that even for the ease that you have with the fairy rings, if there's even an argument that this should be up here in the S tier, I would just say the cannons so drastically speed this up or is always usable. This is nearly always usable as well. Let's put it in S tier. But I do have to think it goes behind the cannon. The cannon's just so amazing, so efficient. It literally allows you to be AFK as well. The Slayer helmet doesn't do that. It's the Holy Wrench. An item that, I don't know, maybe I'm just biased towards it, that people have raved about, that say like, oh, you have to go get this. It makes your prayer pot so much more useful. Just for clarification's sake, when drinking a dose of certain prayer restoration potions, it adds an additional 2%. Basically, the higher your prayer level gets, the more useful this is. But for me personally, like, again, unless I'm missing something, which I most likely am, it's not tradable. You have to go get Rum Deal done, which is it's easy enough of a quest, but still not as much of a cakewalk as some quests that we've already talked about. It doesn't offer any teleports on it. I would say it has to go at least there. And now, to move on to an extremely polarizing, dividing item, is the Toxic Blowpipe. Added in January of 2015, this item changed the game. It was broken. It was absolutely absurd. So first off, it has a 3 attack speed, which that next to darts is just one of the fastest attack speeds in the game. The Toxic Siphon, which increases accuracy by 100%, damage by 50%, while healing the user for half of the damage dealt. You see that this is an item that if people are running around doing any form of Slayer that is low level, to say the least, they're using this because of how quickly you can clear tasks. If they're doing tutorial skipping, they're using this. At many places later on in the game, it will be useful. But yeah, having 78 fletching required to make it is awfully expensive. I would say it would be a disservice to put proselytes ahead of it. However, fairy rings and the ability to get around the map, I would say, still deserves to be ahead of it. But man, it's once you're there, Toxic Blowpipe is. I can't believe I'm doing that. I think it actually has to go ahead of it. Is it on pace with the Slayer Helm or the Cannon? That I think is a little bit harder. Let's talk about the Barrow's Gloves. The Barrow's Gloves are, in fact, not tradable. They are locked behind a quest, which is full completion of recipe for disaster. These are the best gloves in the game, generally speaking. They are not best in slot. They're second best in just about every combat style. It gives you great bonuses across the board of attack and defense, and we'll throw those stats up on screen. So I would say it has to go above Ava's accumulator. You know, you can pick some items off the ground, but like that is just an unreal edge that you are gaining. The herb stack's kind of iconic for a lot of different reasons. It was also added in 2015, if I'm not mistaken. So really just when OSRS started to see a lot of great changes, and also it's an item that is able to hold, at the time, up to 420 herbs for you. Very easy number to remember if you know if you understand why. And just had to throw that meme in there. It's now 450 because I think they've added one more herb since then. But easy unlock of 750 Slayer points, which may sound like a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, well worth it. It's not something you should rush to go get. You also can get it from doing the farming minigame, Tie Farm as well. So as many tasks, certainly later in the game, will be dropping many herbs for you, especially if they're unnoted. This is just where this shines. It is so valuable. It extends your time at a location between like this and Proselyte and a Cannon. It's well worth having. It's one of those things that it doesn't offer a teleport, so like maybe it should be behind Glory, or it is kind of funny to put the Herb Sack above Black Mask. Oh, I don't know, man. It shouldn't go above Ava's, I don't think. Fourth best, range bonus. But just for the ability that it offers to you, it's well worth bringing. If he takes us to the Amulet of Fury, again an iconic item of OSRS. It is deemed, it's kind of fallen off that it is no longer the best in slot. What I do love about this item is the AFK it brings when you combine a Blood Shard with it. That with a Blood Shard, there's a 20% chance of passively healing the player for 30% of the damage they deal while using melee. It's going to get a little expensive, to say the least, as you'll see with any item that maybe extends your grinding potential. But just with the stat bonuses alone, which again we'll throw up on screen now, with the prayer bonus that comes with it, seeing the herb sack above it, I don't know. I still want to leave that there just for losing out on all those herbs that you leave. That will even just help pay for this. And very great item, very well rounded, amazing stats. And the only, I guess, negative you can say is if you are an Iron Man, to go about enchanting this, you would need 87 magic, which again is rather on the high end, to say the least. I'm noticing this is getting way too long of a video again, so everyone who stuck with us this long, thank you so much again for all of you that have subscribed or considering subscribing, or even just leave comments and likes. It truthfully means the world to me. I'm so excited to grow this channel. I'm so excited to be doing this little challenge video for y'all, you could say the least. I do promise I'm going to speed up this last section here by kicking it off with the Dark Light. So this is a quest item that basically is known for being able to go and slay demons. It is not even the strongest form, but it is specialized with up to an extra 60% increased damage against any demonic monster. Further, it's definitely not overall usefulness of Monk Robes. I think there's a good spot. Now, the Bone Crusher is actually locked behind an elite diary. It's very helpful that it will automatically crush your bones for you and give you half experience or full experience once you have completed the elite diary. Good AFK item, but again, all you have to do is pick up your bones. And if you're someone that hates doing diaries, such as myself, then maybe you shouldn't be, pursuing this item. If it wasn't for the next item we're mentioning, Now we're going to put in the craft tier. We'll put it at the top of the craft tier. And now to jump into. Alrighty, next up is the Bone Crusher necklace, which essentially we take our Bone Crusher, we throw it on a Dragon Bone necklace with a Hydra tail behind it, to say the least. Gives us a bonus of plus 12 prayer. And what is so special beyond that is that you still have all the effects of your Bone Crusher, but it also restores your prayer every time you bury bones. Man, the sustain that you can have from using this certainly makes it something that all accounts should have. It's one of those things that, again, will you be getting a ton of prayer points back? No, but just to like give you for perspective, when you are burying dragon bones, you'll be getting 4 prayer points restored every single time, as well as just being one of the best in slot prayer necklaces. Very great item, very well rounded. Certainly something you should pursue getting at some point. Now we have arrived at the Venenator bow. I said that right. The Venenator bow. So the Venenator bow, in some cases, is the second best bow in the game, as we've already mentioned, behind the Twisted bow. But what makes it so unique, so special, beyond the fact that it just has some good damage for an extremely affordable price, is really the passive effect, which is the idea that its arrows can essentially ricochet. It's an amazing way to go about attacking multiple monsters. Again, it has high damage for a very affordable price. Hands down, without much more explanation needed, I would say it's an S tier. Okay, so this is a funny one. I don't know about y'all, I never even heard of this item until I started doing some research for this, but this is Ratter's Blessing 4. So this is, again, another diary item. You know how I feel about diary items, generally speaking, but what's really cool about it is essentially once you have gotten the 4th, which again is the elite version, it becomes the best in slot prayer bonus for the ammunition slot. So it also comes with its own teleports. So hey, with that, couldn't really justify putting it ahead of, you know, some of these, but better than most, certainly. Glory, Slayer, I think right about there's a fair spot to say. Nah, a little bit too much of a grind. Yeah, perfect. Our Saradomin God Sword. So the Saradomin God Sword has a special place in my heart. I gotta start off by prefacing that, you guys. I know for some people you may say this is a noob trap, and you know, you may be right with that. An expensive item for sure, does require 75 attack to wield, but what I love about this item, again, if you aren't noticing a trend here, is that when you use a special attack, the Healing Blade, which consumes 50% of your special energy, but when it does, it gives you an increased 10% chance, accuracy is doubled, hit points, prayer are restored. Maybe, again, your best form of a special weapon you could be bringing with you, as compared to the dagger, but for the fact that it gives you so much more sustain, would certainly be putting it ahead of the dagger if you could justify spending 40 mil to get one of these things. So, here we're at the Holy Sandals, the Holy Grail. Again, I think I'm moving really quick here. I know some of you might be throwing out there real fast saying, wait a minute, why are the Holy Sandals here so late on this list? And you know, that's a great question. They require only 31 prayer to wear them, so it's not like that much of a gate there, but it does require a lucky drop from a medium casket. That being said, being, I believe, the second best prayer boots in the game, again, certainly in the better than most category. If you're an Ironman, it might not really be worth the grind. And that being said, I think, no, there we go. They're nice having these two together, but monk robes now. Boom, monk robes. That seems fair. How did I get this so low? I understand that they're next to each other, but again, it's only against demons. Okay, fair enough. Man, imbued heart. There is a lot to be said of this item. Very much sought after. Sufficient to say, easily belongs up in the S tier. We could be spending a lot more time on it. Basically, it's been constantly going up in value since it was added to the game. It is a Slayer item through and through. It's literally locked behind Bigger and Badder, one of the most iconic upgrades you can get on your Slayer journey. You should certainly get it as soon as possible. And basically, it gives you a magic boost that as you activate this, it'll give you at the minimum of +1. It's kind of a little complicated to say. Magic level times 1/10 +1. So you're guaranteed to get instant damage. Full only becomes more and more helpful the later you go. But for the fact that, again, you're going to have to spend 100 mil on this, like, I don't know. I would just see the Venator bow being more helpful, generally speaking. Things that, in some ways, you, again, can make an argument F tier, but the fact that this is 100 mil and this is, what, 2 something bill, easy enough to say why they are in these separate places. Okay, so next we have the Ancient Wyvern Shield. That it is essentially one of the best in-slot magical defense shields that you can be using. That gives you a magic damage bonus of 2%, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So it gives you a good offense as you're using magical gear while protecting you from wyverns and dragons and their dragon fire, you could say. You know, it'd be putting you out, if you're buying it essentially outright, of about 23 mil. I would say it's something that, hey, if you're going for a magic route and you're fighting like, you know, Vorkath, definitely a great item to have. Not really required, again, so like certainly not S tier. It would either be on the very low end tier. I would say behind both of the items is fair, but honestly, I'd throw it behind even a Fury. So the Saradomin God Cape Imbued. Best in slot currently magic cape in the game. It is on this list, I guess, you know, when we're not comparing it to like the Quiver, which is the best in slot as well for range. So maybe it shouldn't have made it on this list. I'm including it for the fact that this is actually relatively easy to go about getting compared to many other late game best in slot items. Really not going to set you back any money at all. You just have to do the Mage Arena. Very helpful of an item. Very amazing stats, which again we can throw up on the screen right now. I can't really think of anything negative to say. Like, purchasing one is $250,000. So that on that alone, it's just like, it just deserves to be up here. Very useful, very helpful. Not really has any teleports behind it. But if you die, very easy to go and reobtain again. Okay, and now we're down to our 2 last items on the list. Thank you again for everyone who's made it this far. I just want to mention that this, again, you could possibly go about making the argument that once imbued is like best in slot ring in the game. Absolutely amazing stats. But since, again, best in slot, the reason why it's actually on the list is that this is really the upgrade of a Ring of Recoil. You can have the Ring of Recoils literally sacrificed into it, as well as getting amazing stats on your account for only 20 mil. Like, I know that might seem a lot to many noobs that are watching this video. For me as an Ironman, that is certainly a lot of money. But as a main, as a late game main, very much worth it. And when you just say like 20 mil again versus, again, I don't know, the imbued heart, I actually could see a justification to be putting it higher. But this takes us to the end of our video. For everyone, again, who's made it this far, thank you so much. It'll be the last time I say it. And again, we'll probably do something special like this, again, for another major subscriber milestone. The next Ironman video is nearly complete. Trying to work on both of these over the last 2 weeks has been a lot. But here we are with our construction cape. So, sufficient to say, we know this is going to be an S tier. We're going to drop it right here for now. Here's why. With a home, and when I say construction cape, this means you have 99 construction. With 99 construction, you're going to be able to teleport to your home and really teleport anywhere in the world. Once you have a construction cape, again, it basically makes things like outside of fairy rings, because you'd even build a fairy ring in your home, essentially obsolete. If you have the Lumbridge Elite Diary, you don't even need the staff anymore. It's an absolutely late game goal. I think at the cheapest, don't quote me on this, I've know people can do 200 mil, maybe even less. If you're trying to rush it, you could be spending like half a bill to get 99 construction. Maybe outrageous numbers there. I can fact check that and throw it on the screen for you. But it's just such a well-rounded item. It's crazy that as a guy coming from RuneScape 3, construction's completely like irrelevant. Heal all your prayer, all your health. You can teleport anywhere in the world. It's such a great skill. Definitely something you should consider getting at one point. But it's certainly a late game. And so that's where, like, for versatility, I think it would go above the Imbued Heart. 20 mil of a ring. versus, again, a few hundred mils. I don't know. Like, let's just say this again. If this is 100 mil, this is 500 mil. Oh man, I'm really struggling here. But I think I'm happy with that. It's just iconic, you guys. You gotta get it. The construction cape is, without a doubt, one of the best upgrades you can be getting to your account. But it's gonna take you a long time. It's gonna cost you an absolute fortune. So do not rush this item. Again, for that reason, you could even go and throw it down here for a bow, just because this is absolutely absurdly expensive for really what a marginal upgrade against killing Slayer monsters. And so that's just it. I would honestly say, if we are talking about items to help us on your Slayer grind, extremely helpful. You do not need this to start Slayer, but it will be extremely helpful later on into the game. And if you got the money, if you're a main. Let's conclude this video. Thank you so much for joining us. Throw it up in the comments on where you think we've gone wrong. As I look this over real quick, I am fairly happy with this. There's certainly items missing, by the way. I already think there's items didn't even need to put on here, but friends told me I should, and so my honest opinion on where they're at. Love the cannon, love the Slayer helmet. Certainly the Slayer helmet is very versatile, very helpful. Again, cannon just simply adds so much extra damage. Think this is good. I can't wait to hear what you guys say. Thank you so much. Have a great night, a great day, good morning, whatever it is for you. God bless. Bye-bye.